So our idea was, hey, well, if we can get up to 62, we've got all these south options to stay with the storm and ahead of it. So we headed up right over here. We're going through town, and this thing was just still sitting there. We saw by this point there's no precipitation in the rear flank of the storm. So we had the south option here to go on, but because there's so little precipitation, such a good view, we had that wide highway there with the, a lot of space on the shoulder to get way off the traffic. Beautiful, big, open, flat, dry grass area for everyone to get out on the right side of the vehicles. We just crept up right from behind. And we actually said, well, since it's moving so slowly, no point in going down this way. It would actually be slowly drifting away from us. So we went right about to here. And as this was drifting southeast, we just let it cross the road right in front of us. Another factor with this, we were starting to get a little bit closer towards running out of daylight. So this was now like probably 7:30, 8 p.m. With it moving so slow, well, if you can get a really close, good look at it, you can, turn around, go back the way you came. Perfect visibility, so there's no precipitation to worry about blocking your view. Great vantage point, so we just parked right there. Watched the big wall cloud spinning, crossing the road in front of us, drifting out in this direction.
What road is that?
62 east out of Floydada. And this was a really unique view, probably one you're not going to get a whole lot chasing, where because we were sitting essentially like in the rear flank downdraft here, not particularly strong. Also wasn't particularly cold as well, so you probably noticed that out there, fairly warm. Thinking, well, maybe there's a chance we'll get a tornado. Limiting factor ultimately that day was just very weak low-level wind shear. Didn't have a lot of low-level flow, didn't have a lot of storm-relative listening in the lower levels. But being in this position, we actually were able to see the updraft pretty much going way up to the top, all the way up to the anvil cloud, which is a really cool vantage point that you're probably not going to get that much chasing, where you've got this nearly stationary spinning wall cloud looking up the updraft all the way to the anvil. One of those where pictures are never going to do that justice. So you can try taking the pictures, and it doesn't look anywhere near as impressive as what it looks like in person. As this finally drifted south of the road, well, then we started getting hit by precipitation from the rest of the storm. So at that point is now where we go back and take that south option. So we turned around and then went down this paved road to the south.
And this was the one that got undercut by the shield, right?
By the what?
By the rain shield, by the storms.
Yeah. So once this was shifting to the south, you start getting more interference. This area got covered up in rain.
Yeah, and it got absorbed by it.
So after that, that brief window of potential came pretty close to producing. Got interfered with, covered up with rain. We were going southbound at this point. I'll zoom out the map once again. So the first priority here was just making sure, because this rain was starting to cover things up, that we're fully safely out of the way. We want to maintain our visual on the storm. So through the rain, you can still see, where that wall cloud was drifting out in this direction. We're making sure we're safely out of the path of it, and then also going to get out of the path far enough we don't even have to worry about rain potentially blocking our view. So this is where we stopped. We had that view over the terrain. Off towards the southwest, you had like the sunset, some Lamadas from different storms. Towards the northeast, you had the rainbow. Our original circulation was since weekend buried in the rain there. I think we had a couple bathroom breaks at that point since we'd been chasing for a while.
Yeah.
And then this was a decision where we're like, well, we're out here. This looks pretty much done. But back to the northwest of Floydada, we saw, hey, there's another storm coming through that looks pretty decent. There's just a little bit daylight left. The other factor was we had to go back up towards Childress again for our hotel. So our hotel was up off towards the top right of this. And looking around, we knew that Crosbyton and Rowell's didn't have power. So we're going to need to get gas again. We're going to need to get food. These two towns have nothing. Too small. None of these have any food of any kind or gas. And we've got to drive back up to Childress, where there's a lot of thunderstorm activity going on.
Just ditch it.
So this is the point where we're going to ditch this stuff. It's weakening, doesn't look great. There's stronger stuff over here, which is not only good to chase, but Floydada is the only big town. So we had to turn around, and we wanted to make sure we got back, fueled up, got some food before this came through in case it took the power out. So this was a case where it was a little disappointing. Unfortunately, I got some pictures at the windshield, and some of you were able to get pictures at the gas station. We're under less urgent conditions for getting gas and food. We would have stopped out here to watch that big ominous shelf cloud coming in for photo opportunities. In this case, since we were so limited with where we could find anything, we had to make sure that we at least got gas in the vans before stopping, letting people out for pictures.
That's where I almost lost my hat.
Yeah, that's where you almost lost your hat.
Jonas.
That's where that gas station had really good stuff. Really good burritos and chicken in there.
Was that with was that when the Texas people were under the awning next to us?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The University of Texas or whatever it's called. People.
I'm not sure if they were
right next to us.
Were they next to us there?
Yeah, that was the van that pulled up next to us and rode the storm out.
So yeah, we were there watching it. It had really cool colors. You had like the reddish underneath it from the sunset, lots of bluish greenish hue with it up above. Good wind coming through. We were just monitoring to make sure there's no spin up or anything in it. There's a couple, brief areas of weaker rotation, but nothing too crazy. So as that came through, we essentially let some of the worst pass. And then your planning is going to, now it's dark. We have to get back towards our hotel. So we were.
I'm sorry, real quick. When we had stopped at the gas station, that was in
Floydada. It's the Morse code again. So this was where you had more of decision making for just simply a drive back to the hotel. So lots of storms out here. Further to the north by this point, there had been all sorts of clusters that were coming through. There's actually an MCV that was passing. It looked like it was going to be just south of Childress. So that could be enhanced stronger winds, maybe a brief tornado to spin up in there. We're down in Floydada. Again, this is something you always have to keep in mind where we had repeated days, day after day of storms in these regions. This is an area that can flood as well. So we opted, even though it was going to interact with more of the weaker thunderstorms, just to stick with the main highways. So just take 62 to Paducah and then 62 up towards Childress. So you don't want to mess around out in the middle of nowhere on these more rural roads. Even if they're paved, sometimes they get flooded out pretty easily. So we just worked our way back slowly, making sure we didn't hit any of the worst storms, and back up to Childress for the night. Caught up back there? A lot of detail.
just trying to get those key details that will remind me which one is which. Like losing the hat.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna bug you again later. I don't know how you're able to remember so many details.
Yeah.
Without any notes in front of you.
Exactly.
That's, I don't know, I just like it. It's my favorite part of chasing is these details.
Not the tornadoes.
I like the planning to get it.
Yeah.
That's just like the success at the end of it if you see something good.
Yeah, because it's like when you're talking about some of these storms, I'm like, dude,
So what
one week everything mixed together. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're totally good. What are the minute details in the moment that you're looking at to decide between cells?
So,
for going back, obviously you had the gas detail, you had the lack of food, but I'm just how do you do that?
So I'll go back to the storm that the big wall cloud by Floydada. I think that would be a good example of it. And this is a case where there really isn't certainty ever. It's more of, based on what I'm seeing, I think this is the best option, but that was actually not the only option at this point, what we saw. So when we were heading eastbound, going in this direction, so we crossed, here I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see the exact road. So Compton Center is where we crossed the interstate. Through here, we're weaving through this region. At this time, we actually had a backup plan. We saw the storm was sitting right near the boundary, we wanted to get on it. Off towards the northwest, there's another very nice looking supercell. So we were thinking, well, if we go to this one and it's a dud and it weakens before we get there, we're now in position for this next supercell drifting southeast. So even though this was primary target, we had a secondary target lined up because we didn't actually know, hey, is this really going to continue living? There was a lot of pulsing up and down with intensity. So by the time we got here, maybe it weakens. Well, then we've got another option incoming from the northwest, so it's not going to be for nothing. And that's always a lot of for the minute details. visually looking at it, seeing how crisp the updraft looks, how crisp the handle looks, or
KFC chicken.
yeah, this one from the distance is your KFC chicken
Yeah,
drumstick
yeah.
there, really nice updraft.
I had the two separate kind of like areas. Of, like,
And yeah, this one we actually saw the splitting too,
Yeah,
where from
yeah.
the distance you could see the right mover and the left mover updrafts.
Yeah.
So we were, from the distance early on seeing it. By the time we got closer, then we had that established right mover. But we still had this other one up here, so if this didn't work out, we were having eyes on one drifting down this way and we're like, hey, if we get to Floyd Ada, we've got a northwest option right into the path of it, which would be a good viewing point.
You've always got a second option.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to get stuck.
You don't want to be committing. Yeah, you don't want to be committing to where. Well, we'll get to that. There,
Yeah.
you ideally you don't want to have to commit to the point of you only have one option to either work or it doesn't. Sometimes you have to do that, and there were a couple days. See, the last 2 days of our chasing trip, you essentially had a situation where you either commit or you don't see that particular storm. That's what we did the last 2 days.
But they were also like really not that fast moving.
Yeah, so that makes it easier too. Yeah, slow moving. But yeah, so those would be the more minute details, is just looking at the structure of the clouds themselves, how impressive they are. But also something that's I've omitted so far talking about is I'm always looking at the observations changing over time. So I'm always looking at satellite imagery with station plots on there, seeing what the trend is and wind speed, wind direction, temperature, dew point, to get a sense of is the environment getting better or worse in certain areas. So there might be a case where your best storm is in an environment that's getting worse. So I might actually opt for one that's not as impressive if it's an environment that's getting better. You have to keep in mind how far away you are. So if it's going to take you an hour to get to a storm, you want to make sure that environment's still going to be good in an hour. So the best current storm might not be the best one to go to depending on the distance to drive there. This was an easy decision where you go to your position for another storm. So your two best current storms, your position for both of them.
Plain View Cell was the one we ended up seeing come in Floyd Ada.
Yeah, so that was the second one with the big shelf cloud. Then we've got Fort Childress. So starting there again, what was that? We switched to the Hampton on the other side of the Walmart.
Yeah, real nice.
Was
That
it?
was
Yeah.
a really big one. Really big room on the first floor.
And that would bring us, I don't know why this pin's here, there we go.
Escape from Childress.
2 nights in a row.
2 nights.
So Holiday Inn Express on the west side of Walmart first time, and then Hampton on the east side of Walmart the second time.
Why did we switch? Just because of
Probably because of the printer.
It's generally a mix of availability, and if we go somewhere and it's like not so nice, we'll maybe roll the dice on another one in town. It just seems to have been bad since COVID. Like the quality of some of these hotels have gone down. Whereas it seems like they're like understaffed and there's some maintenance that got stalled out. Maybe they'll change the coming
Oh yeah,
year.
the elevator was super shaky
Yeah.
in the first one.
It was like,
Yeah, we're talking about like good hotel, good
And it's like these are major chains too. So like if the major chains are questionable, you really don't want to be going beyond that.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our Wednesday chase. And I'll zoom out a little bit.
Yeah, I want to get rid of that swirl too.
That was just our starting point here.
Oh, okay.
So starting point Childress on Wednesday. Just take a long drink of water.
How close are we to St. Louis? Okay.
So Wednesday.
Yeah, there's the Gateway Arch.
So it's basically Wednesday, aka the collision day.
Yep. So Wednesday is the collision day.
Oh, I want to go back and watch that on blue, man. You get that GR2.
And this is where Wednesday is where you get into much harder decisions for a chasing standpoint. So the deal with Wednesday is you had a couple favored regions, and I think I got to zoom out the map a little bit more.
Didn't we go pretty far north on that day?
Yeah.
close. Oh my god.
We went
I lost it.
to north. Yeah, we went way up north.
Some parts of
East, northwest. To start.
Yeah. So here's Wednesday's favorite area for storms, where it could be anywhere from like Portales all the way up to Raton, maybe even like southeast Colorado potentially. Now the catch with this day was, this is continuing ramping up, so these were better conditions than the day before. But it looked like you had two areas of favored for initiation. Now, our original goal in the morning, where our planning had to do largely with this road network, which you notice. So as far as the planning standpoint, we're talking about mostly southeast moving storms.
Look
So
out.
we were expecting storms to form on the higher terrain, come off drift towards the southeast, and then getting towards the evening, start actually crashing more towards the due south. You'll notice this is not really favorable with any of these main roads out here. So like, what are you going to do with the southwest-northeast road if your storm is going perpendicular to it? These are huge voids in the road network. So this area south of Dalhart, out over here, this is actually from Sunday where we chased like those very marginal thunderstorms. There's Channings over here. There's just like one road across and then a gap of nothingness. There's no way to really traverse this. Up in this region, I'll zoom in and show you what the options were. Not a whole lot, some options, but so this is concern already where depending on if you go north or south, it's very hard to bridge the gap in between. Or if you have storms form in the middle of this, you may not even be able to get close enough to get a good view on them. So our, so to speak, target area in the morning, leaving from Childress, we were talking about this area by Sedan over here, where we're going to head up to and say, let's get lunch in Dalhart. We're going to buy some time and see, well, we're going to eat lunch at Dalhart. We're going to see if the southern target looks better, and we can just take 54 down towards Logan. Or if the northern target looks better, we just head up towards Clayton. Original thinking that actually does end up changing as the day goes on. Or if it looked like a toss-up, we were saying, well, why don't we just head out towards Sedan? Then we've got a south option to get to the south target, north option to get to the north target.
That person should not be walking there.
So you said two options, Sedan and
Well, so lunch in Dalhart,
right.
that gives you a direct to the... So we're killing time at this point. So we're waiting to see, as more observations come in, as the daytime heating's happening, does one of these areas look more clear for where we want to go? So eating lunch in Dalhart gives us a highway to both target areas. If we still don't know, we could drift west to Sedan, and you could still go north and south, so you could split the difference and say, hey, I'm close enough to go to either one of these.
Didn't we wait until
Yeah, so we're in there, yeah. Yeah, so we're in Dalhart, we're watching this, and what becomes clear is they both still look like pretty decent, but down south is looking like it's going to take much longer for storms to happen. And one of the things, especially more in like the class mode of chasing, is you want to see stuff during daylight. You don't want to have your storm, just starting around sunset ideally, and then, okay, it's dark when you see it. Now, we got lucky with a few cases where we were able to chase after dark.
Well, yeah, because the lightning was so
You
ridiculous.
had so much lightning, such open terrain, and very good roads for the storms. That's really, lucky to get a scenario like that. So generally, you're going to try to opt towards, well, what gives me more daylight hours to view the storms? So at this point, we're saying, well, it looks like north. We already saw some weaker cells coming off the terrain. This looks like it's getting started. This area down here looked like we were still several hours out from even getting our first thunderstorm. So we headed up towards Clayton at that point. But we're still not committing all the way. So we're up in Clayton and we know, well, we can just drop down south if this looks better. So we hung out at the park, killing time, throwing the frisbee, just hanging out in general under that pavilion there. All the while watching the trends, so seeing on satellite, on radar, sorry about the little resize there, what's starting to look better or what's starting to look best. At this time, we're also looking at the roads and seeing from what could potentially form, is there a road to get there? You'll notice how sparse this is, how erratic the roads are for direction. Where it's not necessarily where the best storm is, it's where's the best storm that we can get to in this part of the country. And also, where's the best storm we can get to with daylight. Down south still look to be, 3-4 hours into the future for initiation. We saw up here, like around 1 to 2 p.m., already seeing a good storm get established. and it was just sitting out over here, right on this 370. We knew our expected motion, if it comes off of the terrain, becomes a right-moving supercell, is to drift towards the southeast. So we see this 370 out to north of Clayton and say, well, if we can get on a supercell at 2 p.m., and if this actually becomes something good, it's going to drift down 370 and give us this paved road all the way back. Let's do that. And if the storm doesn't work out, we still have plenty of time to get back down to the south for the sun's target.
Clayton, is that where Christian did his ball?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
You can put that in your notes.
It is.
I just look at you, man. Almost see the van.
and the van close calls at the frisbee.
So, what exactly happened to him? Because I was on the other side of the van, but I heard it.
He jumped on his back.
He was trying to have me carry him piggyback, but he just leaned backwards instead of forward.
So they both went.
So we both went backwards. Because I was gonna hold his leg, and then like you're supposed to like grab me, but he didn't put weight in his legs, and he just pulled me backwards instead.
No, you're gonna have to add to the chase quizzes next year. What's the most dangerous part of chasing? Lightning, other chasers, piggyback rides.
Right. So yeah, he leaned backwards, and if you can imagine where our center of gravity would be with the two of us.
Not
that didn't
stable.
end
Well, just like I said, I was on the other side.
Yeah.
I heard a fall.
I think he got like a piece of glass or something on the ground though, because I don't think it was a rock that did that. So we drifted up here to watch our storm that was just sitting there. And that gave us that good like scud bomb in the updraft, which was probably a very convincing stovepipe. You could probably show a random person and be like, yeah, it's a big stovepipe tornado. They probably would believe you. But just a big scud bomb in the updraft here. That's only something I've only seen like once or twice, so for whatever reason it's pretty rare to get that much scud in the updraft.
And you think you're sure it wasn't a tornado?
No, that wasn't a tornado. That was fanned out at the bottom.
NWS out.
Yeah, it was.
So a tornado would be tighter at the bottom, yeah.
They'd warn that and they wouldn't warn the other one.
Well, they called me to ask. I got a voicemail from Sarah from NWS Albuquerque.
Oh, so they do exist. I didn't know.
But then I didn't answer because I didn't know the numbers, and they ghosted me for the actual tornado.
What area would you call that?
Southeast Colorado, northeast.
Yeah, so like right by the border here.
Northeast New Mexico.
We've been
You could
calling.
say in between Kenton, Texas, and Folsom, New Mexico, but there's nothing out there.
The border of Colorado, Mexico.
Yeah, so that's where our storm was sitting there. And we went up to this part, so we drove up this road to where it curved west. Now, I'll point out, while we were driving, I was actually timing distance. So this was like not the, as you remember, it wasn't the best condition of road. So I was timing to see how long it takes us to go a certain mileage on this road. So when it is time to leave, I know how much time it's going to take to get back to the good paved part. So we drifted up here. The storm was pretty good in the beginning, where that big scud fake tornado was showing us. We actually did have a good updraft. Things were stacked vertically. Looked nice for a while, but over time, we noticed we had more and more of these like little rain showers and cells popping up, interfering with it. In this whole area, you just started to see little blips popping up all over on radar. That's never a good sign with chasing, where you're getting a lot of just elevated rain showers all in the vicinity. You'll see that, very often if you have like a short wave in a weakly capped environment. You just get these little pop-up showers and thunderstorms all over.
And they just, there's only so much energy.
Yeah, only so much CAPE. They interfere with each other. They're cooling down the air. So, we had a good little show for this for a bit. That ended up happening, well, okay, it's time to leave this one. And we knew, well, down here was the later target. So we were trying to do like a 2-for-1 almost, where we knew early supercell forms here. If it gets good, that's our chase for the day. If it fizzles out, we drop south down towards Logan and have the later show. Which was a show.
But it wasn't what we thought it would be.
No, they did get a show.
Yeah, they
had a
did
radio
a show down there.
tornado.
Yeah. So we start drifting down south on this road towards Clayton. We did another, gas up stop real quick just to make sure we're good to go. Again, pretty sparse and desolate out here. You don't want to be worrying about things like that. At this point, we're seeing agitated cumulus field down by Logan, some storms starting to develop. It is a bit of a hike back down here, but given how slow developing this was, there was time to get down to the base.
And he's still sleeping.
So we're up in Clayton. We're seeing this general area down here. Looks like a storm's going to form. We're also checking in to see where other people are. And this area was just like absurdly swamped with chasers, where you pulled up your spotter network and it was just like red dots on every single road imaginable, just hundreds and hundreds. So well, if you go down here, you've got huge chaser converters you don't have to worry about, especially with limited roads, because there's very few roads out here that actually chase the
And with
storm.
the dangerous setup.
Yeah. So you have a setup that's, you expect it to be getting really going into nightfall. So this would be something where, depending on your luck, maybe something good happens right before sunset, or maybe if you have bad luck, it's going to happen after sunset. In an area with a ton of chasers, few roads. None of those are ideal, but we're like, well, we saw this, it did its thing, it's now done. We're going to head down towards the south after this. So we're going to deal with it. We're going to say, well, we're going to stick it out, deal with the hordes of chasers, head down this way. Well, on the route down, we had this little split pop up on radar. This
Was it a left split or just started going up on its
No,
own?
little left split, but very small.
Yeah.
So we were watching it go up on its own as we're heading down, and we're like, oh great, there's going to be some hail core that cuts us off and slows us down. So some left split shows up here, and we're like, well, there's only one road. We can bail east, but if you bail east, now you have to go all the way up to Dalhart, and then down the highway, where now you're talking about maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of driving. Yeah, this stuff was just getting started, but that's still a little concerning that you're going to drive for 2 hours before you're on a storm.
That late in the day.
That late in the day.
And with all those chasers.
So, right, all these chasers, you're showing up maybe 30 minutes of daylight left if the storm, hasn't done anything. So that's not an ideal situation. But we were going to do it, so we had this left split, but then it starts getting really intense all of a sudden. And we're like, okay, well, we can't cross through that because there's probably going to be some big hail.
So we just might as well stay with it.
No, we weren't even at that point yet.
No, we weren't at that.
No, so we see this big hail core, and we're like, well, we're not going to cross through it, and we still think this is going to be good, and we want to get down there. So we're going to let this pass the road. We're going to hide over here by Sedan, let this pass, and then once it passes, maybe we can see some big hailstones on the road, and then drop down south in position for the storm. So we go down, we're killing time. We're over by this town of Sedan, and I'll zoom in on it.
I really want to get to the decision making of this. This is a few hours here.
So we're over here by Sedan. We've got our hail core over here moving this way, and we're like, okay, we're gonna look at it, hide out of the path of it, let it cross the road, and then drop down to the southern storm with every other chaser on the face of the earth that's down there. But the hail core gets bigger and it starts slowing down, and it's just not crossing the road, and we're like, okay, well, this is our only way to get down there. We need this to cross. And then it weakened. So the hail core weakened, and we said, you know what? We just need to do this at some point. So we're just going to drive through it. We saw some weakening of the hail core. Maybe we'll get some peas or something. We'll drive through. It's going to be fine. And it could be cool. We can still see some hail on the ground. And we start heading southbound, and the weakening ended, and now there's this big, beautiful wall cloud with it. And this is where you had a complete change in the thinking of what was going on with the chase.
This is where it shifted when you saw
with the wall cloud, yeah. So the whole time this was essentially first an obstacle, then it got strong enough to where, hey, it could be cool to pick up the hail once it passes. Then it weakened, and it's, okay, this is an obstacle, we're just going to drive through it and be done. Then it intensified again, got that nice looking wall cloud. And at this point is where you had a really big change in thinking. And I'll zoom out to show you why.
The hail core weakened and developed the wall cloud. Is that after it passed us?
Nope,
That's
still
fast.
before.
Still before.
So it weakened, we were going to drive through, and on the approach to drive through, it intensified and got the wall cloud right.
Yeah, it's like it was messing with us. Hey, it's too strong. We'll just get out of the way. Oh, it's weakening. Oh, it's strong again.
But we didn't go through it yet. Or it didn't go through us.
No, of course we didn't, because it was too strong.
No,
That was the merger.
But the wall cloud is what changed.
Yeah. So the wall clouds would change the thinking. So we were sitting here, we were going to blast south, go down to Logan. But now we've got a storm with a wall cloud that's slow moving. It's had a big hail core for about an hour already. And it's tracking right up this 402 towards Clayton. Up 402, we have a west escape. Further up, we can go to Clayton. We can escape in really any direction. You see, we've got 6 spokes up here. This road we've been on all day already. We know there's only 2 other chasers out there. Beautiful visibility, wide shoulders, no towns, no traffic. So now our option is, well, we're on a storm with a wall cloud that's rotating. is tracking perfectly over this road, and there's no traffic of any kind and perfect visibility. At this point, it's about 6 p.m., so we can stay with the storm, and we've got a solid 2+ hours of daylight. Very easy chasing up close. Or we can try to cut through it and drive for an hour plus before we get to a storm in a bad road network with hundreds and thousands, probably thousands of chasers out there.
And it'll be dark.
And it's going to be getting dark pretty quickly by the time we get there. So this was not the plan by any means of the day. So our plan was see the north stuff. If it's good, we stay with it. If not, we go south. This went from obstacle to now. This is our best chasing opportunity. We're on a storm. We're a quarter mile away, looking at a weakly rotating wall cloud, but a wall cloud nonetheless. It's really cool because it's a left split, so everything looks backwards to us. So that's something new and interesting. And it's tracking right on it. So there's not many roads out here either, but it's tracking right on the road, and there's no one else around. So we decided to stick with this, and we say, well, hey, if this keeps looking good, we're going to stay with it.
That's right. I'm sorry, because that's why I was like, did it pass us? Because I remember it following us.
Yeah. So we stick with this storm, and it's maintains its intensity. It's got good structure. We're cruising along with it.
We probably say when two more storms starts from up down, two more.
Yeah, this is.
That's
Ruin the movie.
So this keeps drifting.
Rosebud's a wagon.
So this keeps drifting north. We're staying with it, but all the while in the back of our mind, we're still saying, well, if this fizzles, we're going to crash through and go south, because that stuff down there it's going to be more explosive into sunset. So there's still time to see something if you can find a way to navigate to it. And I'll back it out the map a little bit.
How far are we from Bloomington, do you think?
Probably, I'd say a couple hours out still.
Okay. That's all we got, huh?
Yeah. So zoomed out for bigger picture, we're up on this road in between Sedan and Clayton. We've got our left mover moving north at us. Down here is starting to take off. It's still kind of elevated looking. So something I'll do a lot, and this is like there's a blessing and a curse of being able to do this. I like looking at other people I know and trust that have a big social media presence, that are pretty objective about what they're seeing chasing, and I'll check in if they're somewhere else. Now the blessing of that is you can keep tabs on storms that you can't see visually, because people are taking pictures, posting them, and you can see, well, hey, how good does that updraft look? Does it have a wall cloud? Down here still looks elevated. It actually looks pretty similar to our storm up here, where it's interesting to look at, but it's nothing crazy. So that's what it still looked like down here. So seeing that, we know, well, we still have time to get down there if we need to. This is slow developing down by Logan. So even though we're on the storm, we're interested in it, we want to stick with it, we're still keeping tabs on the other one just in case. At this point, though, we then realize, in our bigger picture radar looks, we've got this line of storms that's coming down off the terrain, moving eastbound. And we've got our left moving supercell here, moving northbound. And looking to the west, you can see that this isn't really largely outflow driven. You see a lot of nice updraft bases coming in. And this is where, if anyone is up in Van 1, you heard David and me talking, like, we need to be right here when these two collide, because that's a window of time for a tornado to form. Because you've got updraft bases on the leading edge of this. It's not too outflow dominant. That's going to cross right over our gust front from our left moving supercell. Which we got. So we'll zoom in here. So we're on this little northbound road. Probably not drawing the position exactly, but we've got this scenario where we've got our left mover heading this way, our line coming in from the right, and I was put in hatching where a lot of updraft base, so you weren't seeing a lot of precipitation, mostly just updraft base over here. And then just to throw in something else to the mix, off towards the northeast, we had some other cell with a non-rotating wall cloud up here, but just to add to our being surrounded. If you look northeast, you saw a wall cloud in the distance. You looked west, you saw updraft bases of this squall line approaching. You looked south, you saw our wall cloud of our left moving supercell. Where this convergence was happening between the two, this was the area to look for the tornado, but also still keeping an eye on the rest of this. So this is where people, you couldn't capture it all, but I was trying to do almost like 360 panoramas to look at all of this and fit it into a picture. One of these, again, seeing in person is so much better, To do like the video where you're just looking at all sides.
Could you imagine having that 360 camera
if we had a good one, that would be amazing. But the
crummy one.
yeah, the
So, like-
the crummy one would have been like, oh, that's what it looked like.
So like the stuff we saw sucking into the collision
Yeah.
from our north, looking north,
was off of this guy.
it was off that guy.
Yeah.
Just kind of over the road.
So this gust front from our left moving supercell got out ahead here, and then it was getting stretched upwards by the updraft of these storms coming in from the west. So yeah,
Because there was
I
a
see
big
you-
old wall
yeah.
right in front of the road, like where we were headed.
So you had the wall cloud from our supercell here, and then more out towards the gust front, you were getting like this.
Intersection.
I would call it like an unorthodox wall cloud, where you were getting outflow from our left mover, getting stretched up into the updraft of this other storm that was interacting with it, and you were getting this rotating wall cloud developing off
Right
towards
at
our
the
southwest.
crease goes
Yeah,
to-
and then you had the main wall cloud back over here, and this is something that was moving, so this is all shifting in this direction.
Yeah.
Over here, you actually saw some nice funnels form briefly. I've got a picture of a couple of them, so like sharp funnels. That's something that gets overused. Is generally it's like some sort of scud is called funnels. You should see it, like a laminar or like sharp smooth appearance to it. And you actually had some of those briefly form here in that rotating wall cloud area where it's like, oh, so close to putting down like a rope tornado over there. All the while we're sitting in there. This might not be the exact position, but generally in this vicinity. So we're sitting nice up and close to this, watching this interaction take place, knowing, well, we can just drive this way. All the action's going to happen down here and down here. We go north, we're going to get some wind, some rain. There wasn't even that big of a hail risk with this, so we're checking to see if there's any hail. This is just going to be wind and rain as this comes across. So we've got our north escape on roads we've already driven on multiple times, so it's not unknown. We've already tracked back and forth on this road a few times today. So good north escape. Sitting there watching this, we know our risk area is going to be coming across here and then slowly drifting to the north with this if it persists. So we get our funnels forming out here. When that tornado actually did happen was likely when this all pushed over and was interacting with the main wall cloud in here. You had all this convergence of these varying swirls and updrafts and whatnot. Scud rising. You got your brief little tornado in here on the road. We held our ground as long as we could. Why we ultimately left once the rain was coming in. If the rain is heavy enough, you lose your visibility, everything. So you can't be sitting there with no visual. Probably noticed on this day radar wasn't particularly useful. You're just seeing essentially is something there and is there a hail core. Any of the lower level details you had no idea. You're just looking way up in the storms. So this was once you lost your visual, you better be out of there. So we're holding our ground here. Once the rain's closing in, then we take our escape, head up towards Clayton. Got the brief tornado right as that escape was happening.
Right before the rain closed.
Then up towards Clayton. On the drive up there, and then we're discussing, well...
And that was anticyclonic?
That I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure. It could have been. You'll have to watch the video again, but
Yeah.
there's so much going on. It wouldn't be surprising if it was either way.
Yeah.
Because it was definitely more of a shallow. This was more of like a stretching of vorticity type thing, versus there wasn't like an RFD driving that.
Well, I
To
mean,
make
that
that
wall cloud
happen.
got really low to the ground before it dropped.
So you had this wall low cloud, and then just a lot of complex interaction. So one of those swirls got underneath the updraft, stretched enough to get that tornado. But as far as which direction it was swirling, I'd say it could be more of like a coin toss for what actually happened there.
Sounds cooler saying it's anticyclonic.
Okay, go for anticyclonic.
Yeah,
it was
that's
possible. It was possible.
Pretty sure.
Well, because the
as it
rotation
developed,
couplet
it's
was
actually-
Yeah.
right left.
It's
Yeah.
going like this.
Well,
Is it?
when it collided on that loop, it's going this way,
Yeah.
right over the road.
So say probably, but seeing how complex that was, I wouldn't guarantee it because the one actually southwest of the road was cyclonic, where that interaction was happening. So you had your anticyclonic outflow over there interacting with this coming in, and the swirl for that one was actually spinning cyclonically, where the swirl over the road is spinning anticyclonically.
Yeah.
So it depends which one of those ultimately did it.
What a case study if we had a better radar graph.
Well, I believe it was off of the split, because as you watch the storm, it is directly in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does kind of hook to the right and then back up towards the funnel that we saw that
Yeah.
was pushing on that.
So you think still with the original wall cloud?
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah,
okay.
oh yeah. It's just the interaction enhanced it enough.
Yeah, but you could see it bend backwards like that.
Yeah. So I was fairly certain it was anti-cyclonic, but I'll look at the video
So at this point, back up to Clayton. That's our escape. Get to an area where, notice all of our ways out here. So if something went crazy and we need to get out, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways, all different directions that are highways. What we were seeing here was now our anticyclonic starting to get carried by the squall line feature.
Yep.
And we were saying, well, we don't know what's going to happen actually. Is this anticyclonic going to power through it and come out the backside, in which case we're going to go up 406 towards Seneca and stay in front of it? Or is it going to get swept away with the squall line, in which case now we have to go down 87, cut through the squall line to get back out ahead? That's what ended up happening, but we were sitting here and like, we don't really know for sure because we didn't expect this to happen. We didn't expect to be chasing the storm. We didn't expect it to just keep on trucking for hours and hours, giving us that chase. It looked like briefly maybe it was going to come through. We actually saw a funnel on the backside of all this from Clayton, so a little funnel cloud, a little needle funnel. Then we see, okay, it's getting swept up. It's crossing over near text line. Well, it's still got that hail core we can't drive through, so we're approaching with caution from the northwest, knowing we've got to drive through this after the hail core has crossed the road. So we're going to do this, try to cut through the squall line with that embedded, left split tucked inside of it, as all this is drifting off towards the southeast. At the same time, we actually had our eye on the cell up near Boise City up here. We're up here, you actually had, just because this is how the day was, a cyclonic couplet that has started developing that was drifting down towards the south. So we've got the squall line we're going to slice across, but further off towards the northeast, there's a cyclonic couplet that was actually moving fairly quickly. So as we're heading down towards Dalhart, we're keeping an eye on this because, well, if we can do this and get ahead of it, maybe we'll be able to see a tornado approaching from the north with that cyclonic couplet. But this was moving quite a bit faster than the others, and we're traversing a squall line to get out in position. So this was all the while we're looking and saying, well, if we don't beat this, we're going to escape west on 102. Because now we're driving in the rain, we don't have the best visual. If this is looking like a close call, we're just going to have to bail this way to make sure we're out of the path of any rotation. So our plan at this point is we wanted to go, I'll put the plan in green. We wanted to do this, hoping that this area of rotation over here tightens up and we can get over towards this Conlin and then have south, west, east, northeast, all these good routes to get out the path. So that's the plan in theory. After this, it kind of evolved into just rotation avoidance for the most part for the remainder of the night. We just kept having more and more cells popping up all over, so we could never fully clear the rain. There were times where we could see updraft bases at least. Off towards our west, we started having embedded areas of rotation develop. So it became a lot more complex than just saying, hey, let's get to Dalhart, go east and beat this. We started having areas of rotation here, so we were adjusting our speed based on where rotation was to make sure our escape routes were still kept open. We actually weren't able to go in this direction, so the rotation was coming down too quickly. So we decided to go down towards Hartley and then over. So we weren't gonna, you never want to be racing an area of rotation if you have no visual, which we had no visual, we were in the rain the whole time. So we went down to Hartley. By the time we're near Hartley, we had another area of rotation over here that developed and was moving eastbound. We had this area of rotation that was moving southbound. Getting down to Hartley bought us room to beat this rotation pretty safely across, so it was still like 10 miles north of the road. The closer rotation was actually the one west of Hartley, so I think you actually spotted the funnel cloud with this one.
I did, yeah. It's weird.
We're looking off towards the east, there's a brief funnel cloud with that area of rotation. Yep. You could, show Lycan in the back.
Yeah.
There's a brief little funnel cloud.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the one with the lightning.
Yeah.
The lightning, like-
And for Jesse wants to see it too. Oh, it's
It's
yeah,
like,
the play button.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was west of Hartley, that little area of
Which one
rotation.
did I call out?
That one, I think.
Was it? I just heard over the radio. I just assumed it was you, but
No.
you guys might
I
call
got a
okay.
picture of it.
I just didn't know if you saw another one, because I know I had called one out. You radioed.
It would have been
Yeah.
to the right side.
it would have been on the right side. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. I just didn't know if there was a second one that I missed.
So, it was the same.
Okay, so yeah, 'cause I know a couple of said.
It would be an accurate statement to make.
Yeah, it was on the right side, not the yeah.
So then out of Hartley, we were going eastbound. So you've got area of rotation here. we're well out ahead of it, so we're going to make it fine. If not, plenty of escape routes off that road to continue going out of the path. The Hartley one, well, we're going directly away from it. We're going to be fine. This was slow moving. It actually just stalled out in this area, if you remember from radar. So that kind of sat here. This one kept on going. And all the while, we're just hoping, like, hey, can we get south of the rain and get a look back at the bases? Maybe we'll see a weak tornado or a weak spin out. But we just kept getting more and more showers. Up front, we're just joking that, you know, the storm just like Joe, and they know he's coming, so they just form over the road in front of us. That's what it felt like. Where you'd be, hey, there's clear sky, and then boom, a cell pops up. So at this point, you know, probably in between Hartley and Dumas there, we were just like, well, we're just heading to the hotel. We're not really chasing. We're starting to lose daylight also. That's around the time that, you know, this storm really started going, so now it's like towards sunset. This one's going good. Well, we're not even, you know, that's long gone, even considering this. Now we're just honestly trying to avoid embedded areas of rotation as we're losing daylight. Because they're spinning up quickly. They didn't look like more than rain showers, which, you know, if something were to happen, probably be very low end, but you still don't want to get caught off guard. Where just these little rain showers started rotating, some of them embedded within a bigger mess. So we're dropping down here. We had this one fairly impressive cell pretty close to the radar that we let cross 87 in front of us and then drove in behind it. So that was a case where we actually slowed down a little bit to make sure it would cross the road so we didn't drive right through
I think I saw that. I was taking some pictures of
Yeah. There's still pretty windy behind it, so there's like tumbleweeds and whatnot going on. Then by the time we were safe with that, and now it was after 9 o'clock, and it was okay, our hotel's over here, let's find food near the hotel. And after a brief concern about appropriate options that were still open, we found Applebee's. So we were looking around, it's like, what is open? No, we can't go there with the class. No, we can't go there. And then, oh, Applebee's is nearby, so we'll go to Applebee's. And that's Wednesday night.